Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello, hello.
And welcome to this week's episode of the Wicked Case Podcast.
Yes, welcome.
I'm your host, Cole Kyle. And with me, as always,
Revkev. One of these days, we have to just time it just right where we're both just like in sync going, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's episode of the Wicked Case Podcast.
Yeah, just
with Cool Kyle and Rev Kev. And people would just be like, whoa.
In stereo.
Hey, buddy, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
Much better than we did last week when we put out last week's episode and chips were eaten and yeah.
Yeah, you did not have a good time.
You did send a private post to me so I could show some coworkers of mine my pain and suffering, and they all got a good hoot out of it.
Yeah. What I'm thinking is that this week I'm going to put it out on the Patreon.
So the whole video, can the whole video go out, or do you have to clip it?
I'm probably going to have to clip it.
All right. So basically, for those of you who haven't seen it, obviously most people haven't seen it. Oh,
or you've heard it.
Oh, look at your little shadow box of love over there. I see that.
Oh, yeah. I had to make room.
Oh, that's so nice.
So I brought it in here.
That's so wonderful. That's your side anyway now. So
yeah.
I don't even have anything anymore. It's just
I kind of gave you like this pretty much the front of the table here.
I have my shirt, my Surf Shack thing, and my sticker. Then my one chip challenge that I have to But but anywho, so basically what happened is for those of you who didn't listen to last week's episode, we did the Pocky's one chip challenge for this year, which is half Carolina Reaper pepper and half Naga Viper chili. It's hot. I was more prepared this year than I was last year. The only thing I didn't do ahead of time that I did last year was I didn't eat enough food, because when I ate last year's chip, it was after watching a football game. So I had pizza and chips and all kinds of other stuff that we normally would have, peanuts or whatever, to put in my system, so it didn't settle as bad.
I figured that would be worse. I figured you would get nauseous after it because you're eating something spicy. And
no, because I actually felt more nauseous this time. When I left last week to go into the bathroom, I legitimately thought I was about to throw up.
Oh.
Because you were like, here's the bucket. I was like, I don't want the bucket, because if I throw up, I'm just going to be here going, and I don't want to do that on here. No.
For the audience.
Right. So I was like, I'm just going to go. And honestly, what I was doing, I was drinking the Sprite, and at the beginning it helped because it was cold. But eventually, I think the citrus or whatever didn't help as much as I wanted it to.
I think it has to be more concentrated. Maybe next time, if you do decide to do something spicy.
Somebody at work recommended spoonfuls of sugar. Yeah. They said if based on the Scoville, for how much ever Scoville you have to have like equal amount of like sugar, and it'll change. So next time I do something like super spicy, like I'm not going to try one of those again. But if I try like a spicy chip or something, or a spicy wing or something, I might have sugar and see if that helps. Then I'll be like, oh, okay. I almost thought about peanut butter too, because peanut butter will just kind of like coat your mouth. And I was just like, maybe that'll work too. But
so what you're saying is you're not going to do 2024's one chip.
We'll see. Probably not. I'm going to be another year older, and hopefully in my case, another year wiser to not do it. But I felt basically there was like a hole in my stomach. Like the rest of the day, like after I left your house, I did not want to do anything. I went home, I laid down in bed, I took a nap, and then I woke up. Eventually I had the delicious shepherd's pie that your mom gave to me. But I was hurting for like the next couple days, and I was like, it's a good thing I didn't do this like before work. And
you would have been all messed up.
Yeah. So all of the anything that gets cut is basically just me talking about it and showing like pictures of it and stuff. So Kyle will probably cut it down to maybe just before we eat the chip, up until we eat the chip. There's a little bit of rough camera work in there too, because we were trying to set other stuff up, but it made my head look like a giant like watermelon. And I don't have a giant watermelon head. I may have a giant watermelon belly, but I don't have a giant watermelon head.
Yeah. I mean, overall, I think it turned out pretty good. The few shoddy camera work here and there.
How were you feeling after? Because if for those people who will see it, you had a tiny little piece of chip, and I had a big hunk of chip, and I feel like instantly within like 15 seconds, you were like, oh shit, that's fucking hot.
Yeah, because, I mean, it was one of those things where I got the taste of it, but luckily I didn't have to do the whole thing. So I didn't coat my entire mouth, but I did do the tongue and, everything that goes with eating a tiny piece of chip. It was pretty brutal. I mean, it was extremely hot. I started hiccuping immediately.
Instantly. I watched the video back and tried to time it. I lasted about a minute.
Yeah, and I don't blame you at all because
I was good too. Like I had my eyes closed. I was just kind of chewing and I was trying to deep breathe and just like not think about it.
Yeah.
My issue is you'll see a part in the clip where I like kind of cough or whatever, and you hear me go backdraft. And it's because it came and hit me again, and it was like all of the spices just hit me down at once in my stomach.
Yep.
And then they like shot back up, and I'm just like,
I can't do this.
Nope. And then that's when I'm starting to drink the chocolate milk. And then your commentary of there are literally tears streaming down your face, and I can see on the camera work like there's the tears in my eye. I was like, oh my Lord.
Yeah, it was brutal. And then of course my commentary is every like 2 seconds I'm like,
yeah. And you went, and just before I left the room too, you gave me the napkins or the tissues, and I'm like, I don't even want to use those because I hadn't washed my hands yet, and I didn't want to like miss and then get something in my eye.
Yeah.
And now I've got a bigger fucking problem because now I'm hurting in 2 places.
Yeah. Did you go back and listen to the show when it came out yesterday?
I have not listened to the show yet. No.
Okay. Go back and listen to the show because my commentary after you left, because the video cut off after I showed the
stuff. Yeah.
The stuff.
And I know that you were struggling trying to do the ending, so I will listen. Well, if we go out later, I'll listen to it then. Yeah.
Because I was struggling the entire time, and I was like, I hope he's not dying in there.
No, I wasn't dying. Honestly, I was like I was saying before, I was taking the Sprite, I was drinking it, I was swishing it in my mouth to try to like coat everything. And then I was directly just spitting it out into the sink. So I'm drinking and I'm spitting. And then eventually there's like a pool of like water or soda or whatever you want to call it in the sink. And I'm like, I hope I don't like flood his sink now. And and I don't want to be gross. There was a phlegm ball that was in there, and I was trying to like pick that out. But I was like, I don't know if that's from me or somebody else. So,
it's okay. It was probably from...
It might have been from me. I don't know.
It could have been from you. By the way, he said phlegm ball away from the mic.
I didn't want to be gross people that were eating. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Let it be you to take the heat.
I'll take the heat on that. Yeah, no, it could have been you, or it could have been sometimes it creates like a film in there when you dump things in and whatnot. It could be maybe ejaculate. Who knows? I don't know.
You got up that high. That's great. If I touched it, well, then...
No, it's like a fountain. And it just lobs.
Okay, that's gross. That's weird. Oh, that's gross.
I hope you touched it.
I did.
And you poke it and it comes alive.
I did. It did. It was weird. Anywho, so, and then eventually your mom yelled up and was like, "What's going on up there?" And you were like, "Oh, Kevin did the 1 chip challenge, and I did a piece of it." And she's like, well, it sounded like he was having a heart attack up there, and then all of a sudden she yells up the call of the angels. Does he want some milk? Yes!
Yeah.
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 Dummy!
Yeah, there you go. Just negate the dummy part.
No, I was a dummy for eating the chip in the first place.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, definitely go back and listen to that. Subscribe to the Patreon if you want to watch that video. At some point, it'll be put out on Facebook, well, I guess you could probably post it on
Facebook, socials,
all
YouTube.
the socials. It'll have it out, but I would give it a couple weeks and go from there.
Yeah,
maybe longer because we don't want to just give it away for free.
Yeah, we just need a little help. You
know what? I'll tell you this: it's fall now, y'all, and Kyle and I have another Big E adventure coming up, and we're just gonna say this: I bought Big E tickets. I'm not going to go into big detail about it because I know my mom listens to the show. So we're just going to say that an unfortunate ticket mishap happened.
Oh, yeah.
And we've learned our mistakes. We've learned from our lessons, and we'll be better next year.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Shit happens.
It was me and my quick haste. If I would have just been paying attention to what was going on, because it wasn't until after the order had been purchased and you were like, wait, you spent what? And you were like, that's not right. And I'm like, yeah. And then I looked down and I went, oh, biscuits.
Third-party sites, they'll get you.
I know. It's fine. We're going to have the time of our lives. It's going to be great. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
I don't care. So, but I'm majority of this show is directed towards fantasy football because officially now, when this episode drops, welcome to week 1 of the NFL season, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
By the time you listen to this show, there will have already been a game played between Kansas City and Detroit that is set to be played this coming Thursday, so you'll have already seen it. So it would have been this past Thursday. Mm-hmm. And we're on our way.
Yeah. It's exciting.
Kyle and I, of course, now back in a fantasy league together for the first time in a couple years. Kyle took a little bit of a break off, and I've never really left this fantasy league. So
yeah.
But we've talked before on the show about the problems we had towards the tail end of the last fantasy league. We don't need to get into those today because we don't want to give those people their not necessarily credibility, but we don't want to give them a platform.
Yeah.
First things first, though, before we talk about the draft. So I go to Long Shots on this past Friday, a couple weeks ago, whatever.
Yeah.
Ryan and I are sitting there just chilling out, and I see this guy come in with his wife and son, and I'm like, that guy looks really familiar. And then I go and I'm like, it hits me. I'm like, I know who that is. CSB Ryan.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I've seen him before. I think I saw him at like Target in, I want to say it was either up in Rhode Island or it was in Waterford. And I was going to go say something, but I didn't want to be like weird about it. But we went to go do the draft because we moved to a different table because we had too many people that showed up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I got to say something. And I'm like, Ryan, CSB, right? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, he's looking at me and I'm like, Kevin, CSB. He's like, oh, yeah, what's up, man? What's going on? And I was like, oh, it's whatever. And we probably talked for like 10 minutes or so. I said, I didn't want to interrupt your dinner. I said, I felt like a jerk if I didn't say hi because I hadn't seen you in so long. He's like, how are things? What's going on? And I'm like, oh, yeah. He's like, you still best friends with Kyle? I said, yeah, Kyle and I are still best friends. I said, we had a little bit of a hiccup, but it happened and it's passed and it's whatever. He's like, that's cool. And I asked him about Lauren, and he said he knew about Lauren. He said that Walt passed away. Walt, one of the
Oh, the older gentleman?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
He said it was probably just after Lauren had.
Oh, wow.
So
I didn't know that.
He's like, so what are you doing? I was like, Kyle and I have a podcast. He goes, really? He goes, you're actually putting your CSB stuff to use. I said, kinda.
Yeah. What's he up to?
He said he works, I believe, at Travelers Insurance or whatever.
Oh,
and I'm like, that's cool. He's like, are you local? I said, yeah, I'm local. And I just added him, or I sent a Facebook request, and I'm going to tell him, hey, if you ever want to be on the show, let us know. We'll gladly bring you on the show.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Especially if you want to talk football. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. I definitely wouldn't mind a special guest.
Get a bit of a break from a certain somebody else who thinks she knows everything about football, but she's nothing but a
dummy. Yeah.
I'm talking about you, Steph. Your ass is going down week 1. I've
so
never
competitive.
First off, I need to get some stuff off my chest, too.
Uh-oh. He's tightening the Gatorade bottle, which means he's got some shit to say.
No. This girl, okay, listen. I know that she likes to indulge in a little bit of the adult bevs every once in a while, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I have no judgment on that. I'm not judging at all. She brought up multiple times, why don't we have divisions in this league? I said, I don't know. Well, she's like, you're telling me that I'm in some stupid league that doesn't have divisions. Babe, you got to have divisions. AFC, NFC. You got to have the best against the best. I said, it's literally just 10 people and the 6 best records make it, and then you go from there. I don't know what to tell you. If you've got a problem with this, please bring all questions, comments, and concerns to the commissioner, not me. I'm not the commissioner. Go tell the group chat. I'm sorry that there's only 30 waiver moves you can make. I'm sorry that you call yourself the waiver wire queen and that you live on the waiver wire. Streaming kickers and defenses and quarterbacks. Suck it up, because that's not how we play in this league.
Suck it up, Buttercup.
Suck it up. No, I don't use the Buttercup.
No, that's not. What? Why?
I'll tell you later.
Okay.
Remember, I'll just say this. Remember the guy I told you that I work with?
Oh,
that guy,
yeah.
He used the "suck it up, Buttercup" phrase to me like the first week or two I started working, and then he kept calling me Buttercup. And then after I found out, I was like, I don't want to be called that anymore. So,
okay.
Buttercup's kind of just.
Cringy to you because it means
I
something
might need
to
to go take a shower after this because I feel dirty.
Oh, boy.
Now, I'm not criticizing Steph at all. But then she was running her mouth talking her shit about how she's going to win the fantasy championship this year and she's never lost in a week one and she's never missed the playoffs. I said, well, then 2 of those things are going to happen because you're not going to win the championship. You're not going to make the playoffs and you're probably going to lose week one. I said, the best part would be though, I said, actually though, because we'll play each other twice because I think we play each other week 1 and week 10. Mm-hmm. I said, if you beat me in both of those games and you're shit talking me, and then we meet in the finals and I beat you for the championship and I win all the money, absolutely. Oh, by the way, $600 goes to first place, $300 goes to second, and $100 goes back to third.
I think that's reasonable. Yeah,
we all decided. I don't think Ryan sent that out on the group chat, but
no. But yeah, but that was something we were talking about. I think that would make
6, 3, and 1 because he was like, why don't we do like 550 or something? I was like, no. I said first place gets 6 times the amount they won. Second gets three times the amount, and then third just gets their money back. So
yeah,
bring it on, Steph. I'm ready for you. I got a formidable team. We're gonna get into them in just a minute here. So
I'm excited because I feel comfortable with my team, and I think that it's gonna be an interesting year.
So we're not gonna run down every team that's in our fantasy league and every draft result.
Yeah.
I'm going to read at least off the first 2 rounds of the draft.
Makes sense.
And then we'll talk about your team, my team, and even though she's not here, we'll bring up Steph's team because those are the 3 teams you're probably going to hear the most about throughout the year.
Yeah.
So Joel had the first pick. He took Justin Jefferson. Adam had the second pick. He took Jamar Chase. Steve has a co-manager named Mike. They did this last year too. They took Christian McCaffrey. I had the 4th pick. I took Austin Eckler. So pretty much most consensus 1 through 4 was correct, those 4 in a row.
Yeah.
And I was actually not in bad of a spot as I thought because I'm like, well, if someone takes a running back, I'll get a wide receiver. If someone takes a wide receiver, I'll take a running back. And I was like, I don't either one of those top 4 I had no problem with at all.
Yeah.
Ryan drafted 5th. He took Tyreek Hill. Morton, he drafted Cooper Kupp 6th. Steph took Nick Chubb at 7. You took Travis Kelce at 8. Steve's brother Jeff took Bijan Robinson at 9. And Jose, who actually made a rare appearance to see us, which I was cool with because we haven't seen Jose in a while, he took Stephon Diggs 10th. Now, I will say this to you. What I personally would have done, which I don't, your picks weren't fine regardless. I would have jumped early and got Kelce, and in the second round, I would have taken Patrick Mahomes, and I would have paired those 2 together all year.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, and then I said, but at the same time, I don't want to take a quarterback this early. And I'm like, if Mahomes is still there by the time the next round came around, I would get him, but...
Which he was, and you didn't take him.
I know.
He was, and you didn't take him. You could have.
I could have, but...
You should have. You absolutely should have.
I'm okay with how it turned out, though.
All right, fair enough.
Because my thing is, if one of them gets hurt, then it's not gonna make a difference anyways.
Yeah, that's true, but, and
on top of that, at the bye weeks, they're both gonna have the same bye week. So
yeah, but then once the bye week's done, it's done. That's why for a while I used to pair my defense and my kickers together because then I would either just take the loss and not play anybody, or they'd be off at the same week, and then that was it.
Okay,
it's all strategy and stuff, and people can be like, I'm so skillful at this. It's all luck. It really is. You just hope you take the right players. The year Michael Thomas had a completely unbelievable season for the Saints. The year after, I'm like, oh, he had a great last year. I'm going to take him this year. And then he got hurt. And I was just like, and you get to that point where you're like, I don't want to let him go because if I do, I'm going to regret it. Like when Christian McCaffrey got hurt.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I don't want to let McCaffrey go because I picked him so high. And then he went to the Niners, and now he's doing a lot better there. But
yeah,
round 2 consisted of, Saquon Barkley went to Jose. Jeff took A.J. Brown. You took CeeDee Lamb. Steph took Derrick Henry. So Steph now currently has Chubb and Henry, which we'll talk about her team in a minute.
Okay.
Mort took Tony Pollard. Ryan took Garrett Wilson. I wasn't sure who to take, but I went with Jalen Waddle from the Dolphins. Steve and Mike went with Devontae Adams. Adam went with Amon-Ra St. Brown, and then Joel went with Jalen Hurts. So he went with the quarterback early.
Yeah.
Which is a little risky because if the quarterback gets hurt, that's a high,
A high pick for, yeah. I mean, granted, hopefully that doesn't happen. But...
No, I hope it does because he's been talking the most shit at anybody. So, first, and also, because I haven't said anything to you about this yet. So I got to find what round it is. Hold on just a second here. Okay. So we're going to go down a couple rounds here. We go to round 7.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at a couple different players, and I said, I'm going to take this wide receiver. I took Jahan Dotson, who's supposed to be, I believe, a number 1 or number 2 receiver. I think the number 2 receiver for Washington behind Terry McLaurin.
Mm-hmm.
I heard he's supposed to be a bit of a sleeper. He's going to have a good year. I said, I'll take him.
Yeah.
There was somebody else I had in mind that I was going to take ahead of him, but I was like, I'll take Dotson. You come around, you took Michael Pittman Jr. Next round comes up, and you pick this guy, and I went, oh, God damn it, Kyle. You took Alvin Kamara from me. You son of a bitch. I audibly yelled outside, out in, like, the bar area, because I'm like, all right, Dotson and Kamara are right there. I said, I'll wait on Kamara because I don't think anybody realizes that like he's suspended and he's kind of lower than he normally is. I said when it comes back around in the 8th round, that's going to be my steal. I'll have a number 1 running back when he comes back in a few weeks. I'll bench him, and that's fine, no big deal.
I had the exact same thought process.
Yeah, and that's why I was like I should have taken Kamara ahead of Dotson because apparently according to Yahoo and their wonderful statistics and analytics and stuff, they said that Dotson was a bit of a reach, which I thought it might have been, but at the same time, I was like, it's whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, as soon as I see it come up, and I'm like, because Ryan had asked me about him. He's like, Kev, he's like, how long is Kamara suspended for? I was like, 3 or 4 games. I said, I don't remember. I think it might be for like a violation of a policy or something, but he'll be back in a couple weeks. He's like, oh, okay. And I'm waiting, and I see your name come up, and then I just see A. Kamara, and I slam my hand on the table, and I went, oh, Kyle, you fucker. And everyone like looks at me, and I'm just like, oh, and I put my hand in my head or whatever. I'm just like, oh my God. And Jose's like, what? I said, took Alvin Kamara from me, and he was like, it was a sneaky good pick. I said, I know it was.
And you know what's funny is I was thinking the same thing, like, because when I was drafting, all I was getting was the wide receivers on top, and the running backs I wasn't too impressed with. The running backs that I wanted already got taken, so I'm like, well, you know what? When I started getting down towards the bottom and looking at the players, I'm like, oh, Alvin Kamara, he's suspended, but it's only for like 3 games. I said, I could put him in.
That's the only thing I would have changed because I should have just been like, screw it, because I didn't want to reach for him too early.
Yeah.
So if I could have snagged him in round 8, because instead of him, I mean, I'll talk about who I got in round 8, which I'm honestly not mad about who I got in round 8. But if I could have gotten Kamara instead,
yeah,
I would have obviously been happy about it. But honestly, like I said, I'm not mad about who I got. But yeah,
no, same here.
But yeah, I definitely was like, oh, Kyle. Of all people, it had to be Kyle to take Kamara from me. I was like, son of a bitch.
And what's funny is I was contemplating, when I was drafting, I was looking at him and I'm like, should I not? And it took me like a good minute, probably like 30 to 35 seconds to pick. And that after I picked him, that's when my boss came around, so I had to shut my phone off. So literally, if my boss had came a few minutes earlier, he probably wouldn't have been picked.
Well, somebody else probably would have taken him from me. Ryan may have snagged him from me or whatever, because Ryan was drafting ahead of me, and it's all right. So at the end of the day, here's I'm sorry. Here's what
puberty?
No, I had a frog in my throat. Sorry. All right, so here's what I have.
Okay.
Also, my name as a troll to some people in the league, which Joel didn't seem very upset about it, which I was kind of mad. I thought he was going to be mad about it. My team name is Biden's Boys because there are some very anti-Biden fans that are in our league. Now, this is not I'm not making this a political show. I'm just saying that as a goof, there are people that are like, Biden's not my favorite person, even, and I'm just like, as a goof, I'm going to put the other thing I was going to do was get a picture of like Donald Trump's mugshot and put Trump card.
Oh, that would have been pretty good.
That would have been
You could still change it too.
I'm not going to. I'm going to leave it at Biden's Boys. If I start to go like 0-4, 0-5, we'll see. but I'm pretty confident with my team. So,
Okay.
with the eighth round pick that I took instead of being able to get Kamara because you sniped him from me, I got Trevor Lawrence, who should have a good year in a very terrible division for the most part.
Yeah.
For Jacksonville, he had a good year last year, so I'm happy with that. My two starting wide receivers will be Jalen Waddle and DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf was very excited that I got him because that guy is just a freak. Austin Eckler and Damon Pierce, from Houston. I'm pretty excited about those. Kyle Pitts is my tight end. I'm taking a chance on him. I think he'll be all right this year. There's always years where people think Kyle Pitts is going to do better than he should do, and he doesn't. So hopefully maybe this will be the year that Kyle Pitts has a good year.
Yeah.
Alexander Madison from the Vikings that I snagged, I feel like later in the draft, who I completely was like, wait, he's the number one because Dalvin Cook's gone. So that I won't say high-powered offense, but that good offense, I'm going to have their number one running back. So I got 3 number one running backs right there. Jahan Dotson, the pick that I'm probably most upset about because I could have had Kamara in that spot, and I honestly probably would have rather had Kamara in that spot because then you would have I would have had a chance to have Eckler and Kamara on the same, and that would have been great. I took DeAndre Hopkins late. That's my chance pick that I took. I don't know how well he's going to do in Tennessee, but if you're a good enough player, it doesn't matter where the hell you are. Though a lot of people will say that Tennessee is where wide receiver careers go to die. There's a lot of good wide receivers that played in the league for a while. Julio Jones, Andre Johnson, and there's somebody else that I'm missing off the top of my head. But they all went to Tennessee later in their careers, and their careers just pretty much bombed out, and then they soon either retired or went to a new team.
Yeah.
Rashad Bateman, who's coming off of an injury for Baltimore, I believe he's the number 2 or 3 wide receiver. I'm happy with Bateman. Also with teams, too, you always want to make sure you have guys that are kind of like they're a bit expendable. Like you're like, I'm not mad if I have to let this guy go. So you always got to have players like that. Khalil Herbert, who I believe is the starting running back for the Bears. Backup quarterback Deshaun Watson. The only reason I took another quarterback was because with a 10-team league, quarterbacks are scarce later in the year, and I'd rather just have somebody that and by the way, Watson's going up against Arizona during Trevor Lawrence's bye week, so I'm like, that could not have been a better matchup, at least as far as, because I don't think Arizona's going to be very good this year. And then one of my last picks was my backup tight end, which is another thing. Tight ends are going to be kind of hard to find too. I took Dalton Schultz, who, from what I've read, is I won't say an elite, but he's like a top 10 tight end in the league, and he's going to a Houston team where they've got a rookie quarterback, and a lot of the times the rookies just throw to the tight end as a safety net, so he might rack up a lot of yards.
That is true, yeah.
Jake Elliott as my kicker, because Philadelphia is going to put up points, and Jake Elliott is a very consistent kicker, because I was going to take somebody else. I got to see who it is now, because somebody sniped them for me like late in the draft, and I don't remember who it was. But I will find out who it was, and I will kid you. It might have actually been Steph. Let me see. Hold on, let me look. Because I got Jake in the 14th. She got Cincy's defense there. So it must have been earlier then. Because there was a kicker that I wanted to get, and then somebody snagged him from me, and I was like, rat bastard. And I don't know who it was now. Now this is gonna bug me now. Hold on just a second. You can talk about, if you want to pull up your team, you can talk about your team while I'm looking for this, so I'm not like killing airtime here.
Yeah, I'll throw out my teams that way all the listeners know what I got. Quarterback Lamar Jackson.
Solid pick.
Yep. Wide receiver CeeDee Lamb, also another great pick. Wide receiver Calvin Ridley. Running back Cam Akers. Running back James Conner. Tight end Travis Kelce. And then in my flex spot, I have Pittman Jr.
Michael Pittman Jr.
Pittman Jr.
Yep.
On the bench, I got Kamara. My backup quarterback is Tua Tagovailoa. Tagovailoa. I always have a hard time pronouncing his name. Tagovailoa.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
Tua Tagovailoa.
Okay.
It's pronounced like different ways and stuff. People say it different ways. So
yeah, I know he's a decent quarterback, and I'm actually glad. So a lot of the bench players, the computer drafted for me because I was talking with my boss. So Tua was one of those ones that was drafted by the computer, which I'm not mad at. Zach Charbonnet.
Zach Charbonnet. Yep.
Charbonnet, running back. How do you say his last name? Smith Njigba?
Jackson. I think it's Jackson Smith Njigba.
Njigba?
Or Nahigba or something like that.
Yeah, that's a hard name to pronounce.
He's an Ohio State guy. He's trash.
Yeah. I mean, the computer picked him too, so we'll see how he does. And then it also took a backup tight end. I don't know how to pronounce his name either. Chigzoem Okonkwo
or something.
Okonkwo.
Yeah.
Don't really know much about him. Kicker is Tyler Bass
from the Bills, who should be a pretty good kicker for you.
Yeah, and then defense, New Orleans and Dallas,
which we talked about this morning, where I told you that both defenses are pretty solid, and New Orleans doesn't really play a lot of. I won't say that. I mean, there's not really a team that's a layup.
Yeah,
but you know.
Yeah, no.
They're the amount of quarterbacks they're playing is
meh at best.
Right, for who the quarterbacks are. So, let me go to Steph's team, because obviously that's the other main team that we want to look at here. So Steph, of course, with the 1-2 punch of Nick Chubb and Derrick Henry. So she was very excited that she got. By the way, you drafted 8th.
Yes, I did.
And Steph drafted just before you in 7th. And part of me wanted to be like, hey, take this person and snag him from Steph. Steph waited later. She went kind of more all running backs and wide receivers as her formula. I think her whole bench is, running backs and wide receivers. Yeah. So she has 1 tight end, 1 kicker, 1 defense, and 1 quarterback. Her 1 quarterback she took, though, Daniel Jones. Little bit of a rough pick.
Yeah.
Not the most elite quarterback. I mean, he's serviceable, don't get me wrong, and he could pop up. He is projected to get 20 points in this first week against the Cowboys, but if he has a bad game, that could be the difference between her beating me and me beating her.
That could be.
Her wide receivers, Keenan Allen and Tyler Lockett, a good 1-2 punch. Both of those wide receivers, though, have had injury histories as of recent. Lockett's been hurt recently. Allen's been hurt recently. I know you know that because I believe you had Keenan Allen
last year, and
or the year before or something like that. And
no, I think it was last year.
Oh, sorry, because you were doing your own fantasy league last year, right? Because you were asking me about it. Because we didn't do a fantasy league last year.
Yeah.
You were doing your own thing, and you were like, "Hey, who should I start?" And you were like, "I have Keenan Allen." And you were like, "I don't want to drop him because I drafted him so early." But and then eventually, I think he had a big day for you, and you were like, "I'm really glad I didn't drop him."
But then after that, he got hurt.
He struggled,
again,
yeah,
pretty much.
Steph has, like I said, she has Chubb and Henry, which I'm gonna have to deal with that all year. But I think at some point, Derrick Henry, you can't be a kind of a brawler for a back where you're like slamming into people constantly. It's gonna slow you down eventually. Maybe this will be the year. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it may not be, but we'll see. David Njoku, solid tight end for her. J.K. Dobbins, not a bad flex spot at running back. Then she has DJ Moore, which I completely forgot is now a Bear and not a Panther anymore. She has Jordan Addison, which will be their number 2 receiver, and it sounds like there's very high promise with him now that Adam Thielen is in Carolina. Jamal Williams. Jamal Williams is one of the most likable players in the NFL. He's so funny, and that's a solid grab. Brian Robinson for the Commanders. Commanders have 3 or 4 capable running backs, so having a committee like that's a little rough. She said, I'll never take Patriots players. I never do. I never draft them. And then she took Juju Smith-Schuster. Maybe that's who she thought the best option was at the time, like you said.
Yeah.
And then she got Elijah Moore, another one wide receiver from the Jets, who's not bad. He plays for the Browns now, but he's not bad. So, but again, you need to have those players that are just depth players or players that you have no problem trading. There's a very high chance that between what your team looks like now and what your team looks like at the end of the year is going to be somewhat different. There'll be at least 3 or 4 player swaps throughout the year.
Yeah, depending on who wants to make trades and stuff.
She grabbed former kicker of the Patriots, now current kicker for the Titans, Nick Folk, and she snagged Cincinnati's defense. So,
pretty solid team.
Yep.
Honestly, I don't think anybody made off horrible in the draft.
No, like I said, I haven't really.
I mean, who got the worst rating?
Steph did. She got an F.
She got an F?
She got an F. But again, it's all just. It's all analytics is what it is.
Because they don't expect she's going to be working the waiver wire, as we've said.
Well, not just that, though. So, like last year, for instance, Adam had the best drafts grade at like A or whatever, and he finished like in the middle of the pack because it's just going off of like what the projected numbers are. And 2 of the wide receivers that he took were more like kick and punt return specialists, I think it was. So their like overall like projection was like 20 points a game. And that boosted it up. So when it's looking at all the numbers and it's adding it, they're like, oh, he's going to average all these points per game. And then 9 times out of 10, those players maybe put up 7 or 8 points or 10.
Okay.
So, I mean, if we want to troll me here quickly, I'll read. We have time, obviously, so I'll read off. This is from Yahoo, their chat GPT generated thing that they wrote for my Toyota draft recap summary. Biden's boys drafting their way to a D- and a 9th place finish. Biden's boys had the honor of selecting 4th in the draft with 15 rounds to work their magic. They managed to earn themselves a less than stellar draft grade of D-. Looks like they're aiming for a projected record of 3-11 and a 9th place finish. Talk about setting the bar high. Their projected points of 2,062.34 might not be enough to carry them to a victory, especially with the 4th toughest schedule in the league. To make matters worse, they'll have to navigate through week 5 with 3 players on bye. Good luck with that one, Biden's boys. Let's take a moment to highlight their best and worst picks. Biden's boys hit a high note with their selection of DeAndre Hopkins at 84, surpassing his average draft grade or average draft pick of 61, a true diamond in the rough. However, they stumbled just a bit with their choice of Jahan Dotson at 64, who had an ADP of 100. So I could have waited on Jahan Dotson. That's where I should have taken Kamara, and that might be that's the one pick that I made that I'm mad about. All the rest of my picks I had no problem with, but I should have taken Kamara instead of Dotson in that round, and I knew better.
Yeah.
Maybe they were trying to make a statement, or maybe they were just wanting to keep things interesting. Either way, it's clear that Biden's boys is ready to shake things up this year. With the draft grade like that, they're bound to keep us entertained. So they're saying that my best pick was DeAndre Hopkins, who I got in round 9. My worst pick was Jahan Dotson that I got in round 7. And then basically, I'm not going to read all of this, but it just gives you
like an overview of all the players.
Overview of pretty much every player that you got for the most part. So
I'll read off mine too because I just pulled it up.
And then when you're done with that, I'll read off Steph's as well because she has the F. So
okay, so I got an A+. No pun intended. A+ draft grade and first place projection shows they're not kicking around. No pun intended, the team with a name that is as clever as their draft strategy, very nice, made waves in Cool Kyle's amazing league with their impressive draft performance. Despite picking... I'm sorry, my brain's not functioning.
Do you want me to read it then?
No, it's okay. Despite picking 8th in the draft order, they managed to secure an A+ draft grade, leaving their opponents punting in frustration. With a projected record of 12-2-0 and a projected finish in first place, it's clear that no pun intended is not here to play games. Well, except for fantasy football, of course. No pun intended's draft prowess was on full display as they navigated through 15 rounds, making shrewd picks and avoiding any major pitfalls. Their best pick came as their 8th spot, where they snagged Travis Kelce, a player with a ADP of 7. Clearly, no pun intended, knows how to spot value when it's staring them in the face.
One pick different. It's not even like that big of a deal.
Yeah. Their worst pick came in the 86th spot, where they reached for Michael Pittman Jr., who had an ADP of 83. But hey, even the best teams have their fumbles, and no pun intended is no exception. With their A-plus draft grade and projected first-place finish, it seems like no pun intended is set to punt their opponents into oblivion, metaphorically speaking, of course. My best draft pick was Travis Kelce, and my worst draft pick was Michael Pittman.
All right. Here's Steph's. Now, she thinks she's going to be clever, and she called her team name Kevin's a Girl, which I don't appreciate. But with that being said, we're going to read this because she got an F, even though, again, these draft grades really don't mean much. But we're not even going to say Kevin's a girl. We're just going to say Steph. So, because I don't want to keep reading it every time.
Yeah.
She said she was going to change her name to Kyle Hates Me. So,
wah, wah, wah.
wah, wah, wah. Steph drafts a comedy of errors projected to finish in the middle of nowhere.
They're just going to rip her to shreds.
Oh, yeah. In Stephanie's Boss League draft, she lived up to her name by delivering a performance that was anything but impressive. With a draft grade of F, it's safe to say that Steph may need to brush up on her fantasy football skills. Projected to finish 9th with a dismal record of 3-11, it seems like Steph is destined for a season of disappointment. To make matters worse, she managed to pick not one, not two, but 3 players from the same team. Perhaps they were going for the ultimate stack, but it's more likely they just weren't paying attention. On top of that, they made a questionable decision by drafting Daniel Jones at 67, despite his ADP being at 94. It's a bold move to reach for a player, but unfortunately for Steph, it's not likely to pay off.
Bold move, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off.
Her best draft pick was Derrick Henry in the 2nd round. Her worst draft pick was Daniel Jones. So at the very bottom of all of this, I believe. So you got an A+. Mike and Steve got an A. Morton got an A. Jeff got a B. Ryan got a C. Adam got a C. Jose got a C-. Actually, Adam and Jose got C-. Joel got a C-. I got a D-, and then Steph got an F. Draft day projected standings have you in first place finishing at 12-2. Second place being Steve and Mike at 11-3. Then Jeff at 10-4. Mort at 8-6. Ryan, Adam at 7-7. Jose at 5-9. Joel at 4-10. Me at 3-11, and Steph at 3-11.
I'm just gonna say, like you said, these things don't really mean anything, and even though it says I'm gonna be 12-2, I probably won't be.
No,
because knowing my luck, I always get those fucking games where somebody's hurt.
So you're projected to get. It says this draft day power rankings. So it looks like your overall projected score for the year is 2,255.85 points. Me, I'm at 1,938.94. So I'm the only person projected right now to not get over 2,000 points. Which wow. I don't know if I agree with that. Again,
wait, even Steph is?
Yeah, Steph's projected to get just a little bit more than me. She's projected to... Oh, I'm sorry. No, I take that back. I'm sorry. I get thrown off because it says...
Oh, yeah.
The name. Steph's projected to get 1,938.94. I'm sorry. I'm projected to get 2,062.34. But still, I'm just barely over the benchmark.
Yeah.
But I don't... It all depends. I mean, and obviously, like I said, these draft grades don't really mean much. There are so many variables when it comes to fantasy football. A player that you drafted high might get hurt. I mean, I don't want to wish any injuries upon anybody, so I'll knock wood, and I'm not going to name names. You don't want to see injuries. They're going to happen.
Yeah.
You're going to pick up a quarterback or a tight end or a wide receiver or a running back at some point in the year who's going to make a splash because there's always one or two players throughout the year who have done it. You just got to hope that you're first in the waiver spot to be able to get that. Also, I believe when it comes to waivers, let me double check this right quick. So your waiver spot is based off where your draft pick was.
Yeah.
So you are the 3rd spot for the waivers. Steph's the 4th. I'm 7th. So that's the only disadvantage, I guess, of drafting early is that when it comes to waivers, it flips it.
Oh, okay.
So let's say there's I'm trying to think of like a player. So let's say Michael Thomas goes off for the first like week or two, right? And everybody's trying to go out and get Michael Thomas because, hey, now Michael Thomas is back and he's back to his old self again. If I put in a waiver move for it and you put in a waiver move for it, it doesn't matter if I put mine in before you do.
Or how your team's doing.
It doesn't even matter about how my team's doing. If your waiver move is high, speaking of fantasy, getting results right now, you'll get it regardless of who puts it in. I always thought it was, when I first started playing fantasy football, I thought it was, oh, well, I put this waiver move in before somebody else. Why didn't I get this player? It's because of the waiver pick. So you want to try to keep yourself at number 1 or number 2 for like as long as you can, because when that player that finally breaks out is there, you want to make sure like, hey, I got this guy. Maurice Jones-Drew, when he played for the Jaguars and came out of nowhere. Doug Martin, once upon a time. I'm dropping old school names here. When he played for the Bucks, these players were just players that came out of nowhere and just blew and helped fantasy teams win championships and stuff. One of my probably best waiver moves that I made was last year when I snagged DeAndre Hopkins, and I'm like, does nobody know DeAndre Hopkins is just sitting out there for free? Like, this guy puts up like 18 to 20 points a game because he's DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah.
And I snagged him, and because of Nick Folk, I would have won a championship last year, and I would have had 4, but Nick Folk chose to miss 2 extra points. And that cost me because I lost by 1 point.
I'm trying to think of how many championships I have.
You have 2.
2, that's right. I won back-to-back.
You won back-to-back. I recently looked. I thought I only had 2 myself. I actually won back-to-back in Ryan's league, and then I won a championship prior to that. So I have 3 in his league. I have another one in a separate league, so I have 4 overall. But the one I care about are the ones in his league. I have 3.
Oh, nice.
And you know how many Steph has? Big old donut. Big old goose egg.
Oh, I was hoping you were going to say goose egg.
Yeah, goose egg. Hopefully she's hoping she gets something. Her sad claim to fame when it comes to the championship is she lost to her friend Corey by like 1 yard.
Oh.
1 yard.
That is rough.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear that, Steph. That's tough.
I think part of me also, I think on the combination of Folk missing 2 extra points, because when your kicker misses extra points in the league, you lose a point.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that, yeah.
So I think between Folk missing 2 points, extra points, and I think Eckler missed me getting over the benchmark by like 1 or 2 points. Like I needed like a couple more yards from him, and I'm like, just give him the ball one more time, because I would have smoked everybody in the finals. Because I had Jamar Chase, he went off for like 55 points, and normally when a player goes off for like 55 or 60 points for you, there's a good chance you more than likely are going to win.
Yeah.
So.
No, I mean, definitely. And it's I'm pretty excited this year just to see how everything shapes out. I'm definitely going to be utilizing the waiver a little bit, Yeah,
I mean, use it within reason, and obviously use what you can use to your advantage. And you just got to hope, obviously, like I said, you make the right moves and
see what happens.
So before I read these off, so good luck to everyone that's in our league. Even to Joel.
Yeah.
It's going to be a great year. I can't wait for it. And football's back, and I'm very excited.
And we'll keep you guys updated on throughout the year as to how we're doing.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure in the first two or 3 weeks I play both you and Steph. So we'll definitely be
we're talking about that.
Yeah, Steph's like the week that we're playing fantasy football. She's like, it's like we're going to be talking up until like Friday, and then you're just going to be dead to me. And I was like, you're going to be dead to me before the week even starts.
Oh, wow.
She'll end up sending a message or something, and I'll just be like, nope, I'm not talking to you. This is the one message you're getting. I'll talk to you next week after the games are over. You're dead to me this week. No disrespect. You're dead to me. It's week. Game on.
Oh, jeez.
So, thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed it. I'm surprised we stretched out a fantasy show into 50 minutes, but look at us. Here we go.
Yeah.
So if you've enjoyed this, hey, we're the Wicked K's podcast. Thanks for giving us a listen. We stream on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Oh, my God, he's wood chipping it again. Google Podcasts. Tune in.
Deezer.
You didn't have to do that. And wherever you can get all major podcasts, as well as YouTube. YouTube for now is audio only.
All right, we're good.
When are we doing dual shows again? In a couple weeks? Next week? Probably next week because the first week of the NFL season will be going down.
Yeah, I would say probably next week.
And then are we just going to consistently talk about every week? I mean, we might as well.
Yeah.
That'll be our sports show for pretty much that. And we'll throw some college football in if there's big games, which, by the way, shout out Michigan. Woo, Michigan won.
Oh, nice.
They played East Carolina. I was expecting they're the number 2 team in the country. I was expecting them to win.
Oh, yeah.
Which, by the way, I know I've said this before. I'm going to tell you again. Within the next, I'm going to cap it at 2 years, 3 at the most. We're going to save up money. You and I are going to go to Ann Arbor, Michigan. I'm going to go see a Michigan game at Michigan Stadium because it's probably at the one of the things that's at the very, very top of my bucket list.
Oh, okay.
I'd like to go to Manchester again, to England to go see like a Manchester United game, but that's going to be a lot of money, and it's we can go to one of the first Michigan games of the year. They usually play these cupcake kind of lower ass teams, and I would like to go to a rivalry game, but it's going to be that much more expensive.
Oh, yeah.
Like obviously if my first game's Michigan Ohio State, I'd fucking lose my mind. I would lose my mind. Kyle will tell you, like, he doesn't watch as much college football as I do, but he has seen my love for Michigan football.
Yeah.
I was a very sad panda last year when they lost to TCU.
Yes.
I was very mad that we lost to TCU. But yeah, we're definitely doing that. So
yeah, okay.
Maybe that'll be the WrestleMania money that we save that we're not going to use now.
Yeah,
because it's just
too far, or
too far
close.
out. Yeah. So yeah, we'll be back to Saturday sports shows and Sunday entertainment shows, or vice versa. Maybe we'll drop the sports show on Sunday because obviously football's on Sunday. No, maybe we'll do it Saturday because then if you listen to it Saturday, you can hear us kind of give like a preview before the games happen on Sunday. Because when this show drops at noon, it'll be like an hour before the kickoff. I guess it doesn't matter either way.
Yeah.
I guess maybe he'll surprise you. Maybe he'll keep flip-flopping them. You never know.
Exactly.
So,
depending.
Our phone number, if you want to give us a chat and if you want to, be a part of the show, 774-764-9074.
That's 774-764-9074.
Don't make it weird. Email thewickedks@gmail.com, as well as the website, www.thewickedks.com. Socials, Facebook, Instagram.
And the Twitter.
And the Twitter.
Also known as X.
As the X now, yes. At thewickedks. Pop on over there. We've got some stuff here and there.
I have a feeling that the name for Twitter is going to be a lot like when they changed the exit signs here in Connecticut. And it was like, oh, but it's the old exit 83.
Oh, yeah. For a long time, they did that, too.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people who haven't even updated their phones because their phones have still Twitter on it.
Yeah.
But if you update it, which mine must have automatically updated, it went to X. So I didn't have a choice. But it's still the same content. I don't really care.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
And maybe eventually they'll just change it back. They'll be like, we're just fucking with you. We're going to change it back. I'm just kidding. We're bringing back the Bluebird. It's going to be awesome.
I'm sure they've done that before for April Fools.
Well, I know Elon did a little bit of something like that where he was like, we're just going to get rid of it. And then he was like, no, we're not going to get rid of it. It's just joking. That's a wild place over there. I've showed you some stuff on there before. That website or that app is the Wild West out there.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, patreon.com/wickedks, $3 a month. And then we got one subscriber. Shout out to that one subscriber, Mom. No, seriously, join it. I mean, we're going to be putting out. We've got pictures of us at like the Red Sox game that we went to earlier this year. We've got pictures from the Big E last year. We'll have a lot more pictures of the Big E this year. We'll take a lot more photos.
Oh yeah.
So that way we can share them with everyone. We're gonna go see Third Eye Blind, so there'll be photos of us at Third Eye Blind.
Yeah.
Kyle, probably more from Kyle's phone than mine because his phone's more advanced in photography than mine is. Plus, he's the professional photographer, and I'm just the guy who talks a lot.
Yeah. Hey, who knows? Maybe I'll try to bring my my professional camera.
I mean, if you want to. I mean,
I don't know how the Big E feels about that. I have to go on and look at their
I would
their
look
stuff.
at that first. So,
but I've seen people walking around with cameras and stuff like that.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We would have liked to get a booth, but Kyle and I looked into it, and it's a little pricey for us. And it's just,
We need a few more Patreon subscribers before we do that.
Just a few. Hey, help make our dreams come true.
So we can get a booth.
So we can get a booth at the Big E. Somebody recommended that next year what we should have done was get one for like the Woodstock Fair, something kind of smaller.
Yeah.
But I was like, but the Big E reaches a bigger audience, and if we're gonna go and do something like that, we should just spend the money.
Yeah, but I mean, we should also be able to start off small and then work our way to the Big E too. That's another thing. You get locally, we'll try to like maybe do one of the other fairs.
No, we're gonna just take over. We're just gonna dominate.
Wicked pisser.
We're taking over all of New England. The Wicked K's is coming.
Oh boy,
the Wicked K. I mean, that's such a New England name. The Wicked K's. We took forever to think about a name, and we tried some, and you were like, "Nope, that's already taken. Nope, that's already taken. Nope." And I was like, "Wicked K's. Wicked's a New England word. The K is obviously because of our names." I said, "Yeah, it works."
Yeah.
So, that being said, thank you for listening.
Yeah.
Yay for football being back.
Woohoo!
Peace and love, y'all.
Let's get wicked.
Wicked pisser.